102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
When this is all over and Trump is gone and Democrats are back in charge and we're rebuilding everything, the punishment for MAGA for voting Trump 3 times needs to be that they lose their internet access for 4 years. That they cannot post videos or comments on social media for 4 straight years so that none of us are subjected to their lies and misinformation while we are rebuilding the chaos that they caused. The whole world and America gets to be without their BS online for 4 straight years.
So that's a woman named Susanna Karatassis, and I hope I'm saying that right. Actually, I probably hope I'm saying it wrong. She is running for the seat that Houston Gaines is holding right now in Athens as a Democrat. First of all, what is rebuilding chaos? I mean, is that assuming that you want the chaos to stay? Rebuilding chaos, it's again, she's just another dumb woman who, and I can say that because I'm a woman, a dumb woman who doesn't really know anything more than a half an inch deep, a mile wide on anything. I haven't met her, and I shouldn't judge her from one thing. But that's what that says to me when you make a statement like that. When you say that a whole group of people don't have the right to think what they think. And I know what some of you are saying out there. I'm pretty hard on the pro-Gaza, pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian people. I'm pretty hard line in my support on Israel. I completely accept that and acknowledge that. But I guarantee you that if you were to ask her, she would say how open she is to other points of view. I have met too many of these people. You can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. I know people don't like it when you say these people or anything like that, but I've met too many of these people that think they know everything. They say they're open-minded, but if you have a conversation with them, they go nuclear if you don't agree 100% with them. And we got to get away from that. She has disqualified herself. That anyone that says in a public statement that if you don't vote the way I think you should vote, you should be eliminated from the discussion, that excludes them. And I know probably a whole lot of people in Athens are going to vote for her just because she's got a D by her name. And she's a cute girl. Got a nice family, and all of that. But my big issue is that you don't sit there and say the people I disagree with shouldn't be allowed to speak. So is she going to represent every person in her House district? Or is she only going to represent the people that voted for her? Is she only going to represent the people who agree with her? That disqualifies her. I love speaking to people I disagree with, and I admit, there are a couple of issues that I can't understand how people don't see it the same way as I do. But I'll admit that, and I own it. I don't sit there and say I'm the most open-minded person. Just come to me with any of your points of view. That's not what they do. Now, got a few text messages that I didn't get to yesterday. James and Cummings said, screening with questions will no longer work. Many people no longer have integrity. That's, I did read that one yesterday. There were a couple of other ones. Then Brian from Monroe said, great show as always. We need a fair property tax system to exempt homeowners and not renters is wholly unfair and unethical. Seniors rent, low-income rent, young adults and families exempt. For renters to continue to subsidize homeowners who already enjoy homestead exemption is a horrible policy. Okay, first of all, they don't get homeowners exemption for the properties that they rent. Okay, so that's not correct. They get a homestead exemption for the home they live in, but we all get that if you own a home. And as far as rent would go, I would assume now, you're going to say this won't happen, but if in my case, my property taxes before I got the school exemption were about $4,300 a year. And so that means $400 a month, $350 a month. It costs me to live in my home, in addition to, whatever else you pay to live in your home. So if you don't have that expense, then the rent should go down. Now, granted, I know people aren't going to lower rents until they have to, but somebody will start to lower the rents. If their cost of operation goes down enough, they will either not raise the rents 10% a year, and eventually they will catch up, or they will lower the rent. I'm spitting mad at what is being proposed at the Gold Dome concerning property taxes. So I'd love to hear more about that from you, and because I haven't read the proposal yet. I was off last week, and I haven't read it yet. But what couple things I will push back on. Renters do pay property tax because they help the owners of the property pay the property tax. But you can't really exempt them from a property tax because the property tax is not technically billed to them. What has to happen is the person that owns the property has to reduce the rent if they have reduced costs. And you can say that people won't do that, and I think people will be reluctant to do that. But as soon as somebody says, you know what, it's costing me a lot less to run this property, I don't think I will, A, raise the rent this year, or B, I might give a little reduction. I think that will eventually happen and will cause everybody else to go in line with that. But as far as people who own the property that you're renting getting homestead exemption, that's not true. You only get homestead exemption on the house that you live in. If you own multiple properties, you don't get that homestead exemption except for the property that you live in. But anyway, great question, Brian. Appreciate it very much. But getting back to Miss Susanna, that is over in Athens running for Houston Gaines, the seat that Houston Gaines is holding. It's not Houston Gaines' seat, but it's the one that he's holding right now. For her to say you can't speak, it's kind of like after the first Trump administration, they tried to ban people that worked in the administration from getting jobs. Look, you may not like Donald Trump. You may not think what he's doing is right, but how you fix that is at the ballot box, and you don't exclude people that voted from him, which was half the country. You don't exclude people from being a part of what's happening. And that's just wrong. But honestly, when I saw this video, and I think her name is Susanna Karatasis, and I hope I'm saying that right, that she thinks that if she were to win that seat, and it's the seat that Houston Gaines is holding right now, if she were to win that seat, that she thinks anybody that supported Donald Trump should be banned from the internet so they can't post on social media, that shows you how off base she is, because she thinks social media is the real world, because it's not. I got home from work yesterday, and I got this little text message from AT&T saying my internet was down. Well, I got off the cable system like a year and a half ago. So I quickly realized, oh gosh, we're not going to have any TV tonight and all that. It gets dark early. We watch more TV in the winter. Okay. I'll just admit that. But we ended up playing music and reading books and talking instead of watching TV. And it was great. We had a good time. You don't have to, this idea, I want to play this one more time so people can hear this. But this idea that, you're going to punish someone by taking away their internet and not letting them be on social media.
Give me just 1 second here, Martha. Let me get this pulled back up.
Okay, yeah, got it. So again, this is Susanna Karatasis. No, you can't get it? All right. So anyway, go to it yourself and you'll have a lot of fun with it. We'll take a break. We'll be back.
And the schools and the agents, they have ruined college sports. It's insane. It's Todd Starnes weekdays at noon on North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Some car dealers want to sell you a car. At Hardy Chevrolet, we'd rather help you find the vehicle that's right for you. This is Mike Cormier. We call it the Hardy Chevrolet difference. Since you're the one who will be in the driver's seat of that new Chevy, we think you should be in the driver's seat when it comes to making the selection. It's like Charles Hardy always said.
We love you and we need you.
Together, let's drive. At Hardy Chevrolet, Browns Bridge Road in Gainesville, online at hardychevrolet.com.
Would you take advice on how to collect money from the folks that owe it to you? That's exactly what you do when you let an insurance company steer you to their contract shop. At Nichols Body Shop, we earn our customers one at a time. We depend on repeat customers and referrals to keep our shop busy. When you need a repair shop, please consider picking a shop that works for you. Nichols Body Shop in Flowery Branch, where the best sign of a quality repair is no sign at all. Find us on Facebook or call 770-967-8200.
You wouldn't want someone you couldn't trust working on your family's HVAC and plumbing, so why would you call anyone but Gainesville Mechanical? They're your local, most trusted and award-winning HVAC and plumbing company in North Georgia. From maintenance appointments and clogged drains to plumbing emergencies and new system installations, their team is ready to serve you. And with their customer assurance maintenance plan, you can receive discounts, priority scheduling, and 24/7 no overtime rates. Gainesville Mechanical and Bryant, doing whatever it takes since 1989.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Harding Chevrolet Newsroom, plant walkouts for 2 Hall County schools Tuesday have been postponed by the walks organizers while school officials remind them about policies. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Wasn't something like COVID where no one saw it was coming. The forecast had already told us it takes about 30 minutes to an hour to get frostbite or hypothermia. So while he was parading around doing press conference in this custom jacket, they did a profile piece on that, by the way, Sean. Everybody was talking about the custom jacket. He did no planning at all. And now you got people that are dead as a result of it. The city looks a mess. You can't even get the snow removed off the sidewalk. Trash everywhere. The city was a dump before this, Sean, and it's only getting worse. This is not a test. This is game time. And as we know, Sean, he wasn't prepared.
So the ice storm came through New York 2 weeks ago when it came around here, and this was kind of the first big test. And Mom Donnie and I had noticed this too because I was scrolling the New York Times that they did this big puff piece on his jacket that he wore for his press conference, but didn't talk at. There's been hardly any coverage of the fact they are now, what is this, Tuesday, 10 days out from this ice storm. And there's still roads that are not passable on the side streets in Manhattan and in the boroughs. There's no garbage pickup, so they've got like a mountain of garbage standing outside these buildings. And then 16 people died because he reversed the order that every mayor before him had of telling people that are homeless when it's freezing, when it's below freezing, that they have to come inside, having places for homeless people to come inside. And 16 people have died in the last 10 days from exposure that are homeless. And to me, he talked about the warm embrace of collectivism in his inauguration speech. Well, is this the warm embrace? 16 homeless people dying? That just doesn't seem right. And there's another comment from News Nation where they talk about this thing also.
Okay, Batya, there are mountains of garbage, some of them 8 feet high, and this is all more than a week after the snow fell.
I don't care about any of that, Liz. I care about the fact that 16 people are dead. 16 human beings are dead because this nincompoop decided to allow them to keep living on the streets when the temperatures dropped to sub-zero. so much of what passes for progressive compassion, the stuff that makes them feel morally superior to the rest of us, actually incentivizes and creates unbelievable amounts of cruelty and suffering. Whether it's abolish ICE, the open border where women are getting raped crossing the Darien Gap, children are being trafficked into this country, whether it's defund the police, siding with criminals, all of this stuff that makes them feel holier than thou.
So we've got to understand what's at stake here in this next election, okay? We've already got Democrats saying they can't wait to get Trump out of power so they can, let's see, what did she say? Rebuild the chaos was the phrase that she used in the video. I don't know what rebuild the chaos means. I mean, that seems like, not a good phrase to put together. But it doesn't surprise me because I just really, I'm very frustrated with the completely different silos that people live in and get their information. There's not even, if you follow certain kinds of information, you don't get anything. Now, in my feed, now granted, I don't get all my news from social media. I watch social media. I look at X. I don't really do much Instagram or TikTok because I'm old. And I don't use Facebook for news. Okay, I just don't. Now, I will go to maybe if it's an official site for the city of Gainesville or something, I'll look for a closing list there or something like that. But as far as getting your news, when a friend of mine comes in and says, well, I read it on Facebook, isn't this true? No, it's not. So it might be. Let's just put it that way. But don't take that as your first source. Okay, Facebook should not be your first source. So you've got to read other things, and you got to go into enemy territory. Okay? You've got to read the things. So I've started reading Charlie Kirk's last book, Stop in the Name of God. That was one of the books I was reading last night. And it's really something you should read because he talks about, very early in the book, about how he was so involved in everything and he was reading everything and he was going everywhere and he was doing everything and he was on top of everything and he was afraid to miss a message and he was afraid to miss anything because that's the world we got raised in. I mean, I'm an immigrant to this world. I'm a digital immigrant because I started my work life without a computer on my desk and the only way you could send a message to someone was to mail it to them or call them on the phone. Okay, so I'm a digital immigrant, but I was able to mix my life of raising children and going back to work because of the digital footprint. Okay, so there's good and bad to everything. Okay, the good was I could take a part-time job. I could be home by 1 o'clock. I stayed home for a number of years, but I could take a part-time job. I could be at home by 1 o'clock. I could be there when the bus got home, making the snacks and letting the kids get in and doing their homework. To them, nothing had changed because, unless they were homesick or something, nothing had changed. So but because I had a brick laptop and a BlackBerry, I could check my messages and I could get back to people later in the day. And I got sucked into this. This is why I can recognize it, where I was getting back to people right away. I was like the coolest person ever as far as that. But then it got to where I was looking at messages till 10 o'clock at night. I was reading email, late in the night. I was getting up in the middle of the night and thinking about it and doing that. And it'll make you crazy. And it will also make you crazy when you check all these different news sources and you see what is blatantly wrong, what is blatantly a lie and not factual, and that once the facts, you always used to think, okay, well, they got it wrong the first time. Once the facts are revealed, then they'll start reporting the facts instead. That doesn't happen because news agencies and news shows have become profit centers. I'm not against profit. I'm a capitalist, okay? But what happened after 60 Minutes? 60 Minutes was the first news show that made money, okay? And after that, news departments that went from, hey, the news is the news. We report the news how it is. We don't care about advertisers because we're not a profit center. We let the entertainment side be the profit center and they pay for us. That's the way it used to be. And then it started shifting over, well, hey, we can make money at news. You know, it's like weather systems make a lot of money because we can get eyeballs to the television. That was before we had all the other ways we got eyeballs. So we turned these things into profit centers. That in turn really raised the salaries of the journalists and the anchors because they were making more money. And that in turn put those journalists and anchors, instead of just being regular people that were covering the news, they were living in the really nice neighborhoods. And their kids were going to the fancy private schools. And they were getting invited to the best parties. And if they spoke out too much or didn't follow the corporate line, they wouldn't get invited to those parties anymore. Their kid might not be able to get into that fancy private school, and they weren't making millions of dollars a year. Journalists used to be people like Ernie Pyle who hitched a ride with someone that was going to war and then wrote about it and then had to find somewhere to file their story, and they were definitely not upper middle income or rich. Definitely not. I mean, it was a labor of love. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't make more money, and I'm not saying that there aren't people that were worth that money. I mean, I think Barbara Walters was worth every nickel she got. But she was the first $1 million contract, by the way. But because we turned news into entertainment, not the other way around, we've got a lot of false information out there. And that's why you need, in my view, you need a grounding of faith where you know where to go to get the truth. You need to understand what people are talking about. And you need to talk to people you disagree with. Because there's a nugget in there that you might not know and that you need to go check on. It's always better to have to defend your point of view to somebody you disagree with. Because that's how you become strong. We'll be back.
All right, gentlemen, a little love advice just in time for Valentine's Day. And it is gold and diamonds from Gainesville Jewelry. You know, she's been talking about those Diamond Flex bangle bracelets, and Gainesville Jewelry has 50 in stock, specially priced at 20% off just for Valentine's Day. Plus, pick from dozens of heart-shaped earrings, rings, pendants, and bracelets, all discounted 20% or more. And you can get up to $50 a gram for your old gold jewelry. So make it a Valentine's Day to remember with a gift from Gainesville Jewelry, Jesse Jewell Parkway, Gainesville.
Full Bloom Nursery is now closed for winter and will reopen for the spring season in March. This is Kelly letting you know that we have services we offer during the winter, including consultation, design services for spring planting, and also pruning and maintenance of your landscape. Winter is a great time to get a head start on planning that beautiful landscape you've been wanting to achieve. Visit our website at fullbloomnursery.com and select the contact button to send us a message and get started on your landscaping goals.
This is Grant Nichols, and at Loretta's Country Kitchen, we know life can really pile up. There's work, getting the kids to practice, shopping. With all that, the week can really wear you out. The last thing you want to do is spend Saturday in the kitchen. Not to worry, we have you covered with Saturday lunch at Loretta's. That's right, not only are we open for breakfast on Saturdays, we're also serving up lunch from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. Give your kitchen and your family a break with Saturday lunch at Loretta's Country Kitchen, Mundy Mow Road, Oakwood, where it's all good.
Fern may have turned off the power, but she didn't stop the WDUN news team.
Many roads throughout the region still remain treacherous and into the daytime hours due to the cold temps.
Across the region in total, we're looking at a little over 31,000 outages.
We're talking wind chills anywhere from 0 to 15.
Always here, always local. We're North Georgia's News Talk. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 9:30.
Fox News, I'm Therese Crowley. From darts to deals, President Trump meets a narco nation's president whose tune has changed since the U.S. raid on Venezuela.
We will see Colombia's president, Gustavo Petro, here at the White House. It is a major reversal in this relationship, given that the two leaders have spent the last year throwing insults at one another. The Trump administration had even sanctioned Petro, but now things started to change when President Trump spoke with Petro on the phone about a month ago.
Fox's Rich Edson. The president also believes the deal is close to reopen the government, with the House Speaker holding a test vote this morning. Near the border in Tucson, the Pima County Sheriff suspects 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie was abducted from her home Saturday in the night, and she needs heart medicine daily to survive. Her daughter, Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, asking everyone for prayers to bring her home. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow, and a warehouse at Oakwood could soon be home to an ICE facility. WDUN's William Daughtry explains.
A Bloomberg report outlines that the potential site on Atlanta Highway would house 1,500 beds. The current site is owned by Houston-based Alliance Industrial Company, which got approved for 2 warehouses in May of 2024. Oakwood City Manager B.R. White told Access WDUN that the biggest concern is sewer capacity. The current site is approved for just shy of 7,000 gallons per day. He estimates a detention site would need roughly 100,000 gallons per day. Alliance's intent and potential eminent domain of the property remains unclear.
A domestic dispute in Lumpkin County Monday led to a sheriff's office employee's firing and arrest. WDUN's Logan Landers reports.
The Lumpkin County Sheriff's Office said deputies were called to a domestic incident on Robin Hood Drive Monday, and while there found probable cause to arrest Adrian Martinez Jr. on charges of false imprisonment and simple battery.
And White County, Georgia's Truett McConnell University has named its 9th president in school history this week, as they have appointed Dr. Larry Leon as the university's president through a unanimous vote on Monday. Details at Access WDUN. Now, here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
Good Tuesday morning, North Georgia. Turning overcast. Slight chance of a rain shower for today. Mid-50s this afternoon, a little milder. Scattered rain showers becoming likely tonight. Will be in the mid-40s for lows by early Wednesday. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Swanee, 37 degrees. Pendergrass with 38. And in Gainesville, 36 degrees. From North Georgia's News Talk AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
I'm Frank Norton with the Norton Agency. One thing I've learned in my 42 years in the real estate business is that Americans are not comfortable with haggling and negotiations. We're by and large not a bartering society, but we at Norton do that every day. Our professional advocates' number one priority is to get the buyer or seller the best price. You need Norton now more than ever. Call us at 770-532-0022 or look for us on the web at gonorton.com. Our family is serving North Georgia for 4 generations.
This is Mike Cormier, General Manager at Hardy Chevrolet. Some folks think that the automobile business is just about selling cars. At Hardy, we know it's more than just that. For us, it's about helping that young driver with their first car and helping that growing family that needs a bigger car. It's about relationships. It's about family. Drop by for a visit and you'll understand what Charles Hardy always said.
We love you and we need you.
Together, let's drive. At Hardy Chevrolet, Browns Bridge Road in Gainesville, online at hardychevrolet.com.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Savannah Guthrie, the sheriff, telling CBS News he believes she was abducted from her home in the middle of the night. Our Jonathan Vigliotti is there and spoke with the sheriff just moments ago. He joins us now. Jonathan, good evening.
And Tony, good evening to you. The sheriff confirming that Nancy Guthrie was abducted from her home behind me while she was asleep. They found inside life-saving medication and her cell phone. They're now combing through surveillance video. At one point, the sheriff getting emotional as he worried they were running out of time.
Tonight. So it's the Martha Zoller Show, and of course we're praying for the Guthrie family. It's now the second day since Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy, was abducted from her home. That's what they believe happened now, and it's just a very sad story, regardless of how old you are. I think people don't understand, as we approach the anniversary of Laken Riley's death on February 22nd, how this story has impacted not only Georgians, but many people across the country. And joining me right now is Macy Rutledge, who I met after Charlie Kirk's death when she was helping organize the vigil. Macy, welcome to the program, and thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
So first, tell us about you, a little bit about what you do.
Sure. So right now I have a nonprofit organization called Elizabeth's Son Designs. I work with my grandma doing handmade goods, and any of our profits go towards outreaches, and mostly Athens and sometimes in Africa as well. However, we can help out there. And I also am a personal trainer in Athens too, just for fun, on the side. And yeah, I live on property in Georgia in a small town outside of Athens with my family.
And so you've done a lot of different things. I mean, you've done some work with TPUSA, you've done some work with other groups, and now you're helping the Laken Riley family with a run that's coming up in Athens very soon. So tell us about that.
Sure, yeah. I reached out to the Laken Hope Foundation in the beginning of January, wondering what they were going to do, as I saw that her anniversary was coming up on the 22nd of February. And her sister actually reached back out, and she was like, this is very much a God thing. I was just talking to my dad, and we really wanted to do something for her this year because they haven't done anything the past couple years. And so we ended up meeting for coffee and talking about it, and decided that a Memorial 5K was something that God put on both of our hearts. And so we have been like gangbusters the last month trying to get this all organized. And we now have a Memorial 5K. It's a walk and a run that is actually being organized at the UGA campus. It'll start there right around Lumpkin and where Tate Student Center is. And it's going to start around 8 a.m. that Saturday morning. It's going to be the day before the anniversary, so it'll be on the 21st. And then we will have a memorial service and hear from the family, a couple speakers, and then we'll also have worship afterwards. And the memorial service is open to the public, so you don't have to do the 5K. Some people have been asking about that. They're like, oh, I don't think I could do that. You certainly do not have to do that. If you want to just come and fellowship with other believers, with other people who also just want to hear from the family directly, and to really fellowship with other people that are like-minded and see each other in person rather than on the phone or what media is kind of throwing at you in your face. We really want to see a change in Athens. We want to see a light there. And me and her sister, and we actually have YAF, Young Americans for Freedom. The president, he is at the UGA. He's a student at UGA. He started this chapter about 2 years ago, Nick Camerzell, and he'll be helping organize this as well. He's been doing a great job with UGA because you may or may not know, but it's a lot of red tape to get all of this done. We are still jumping through hoops right now to get this established. However, it is all reserved and ready to go. And
so is that something you have to do through UGA, or is it something that city, I guess, who do you have to deal with?
Yeah, so both.
Yes.
Yeah, so the event's going to be at Tate Plaza, the memorial service from 10 to 12. And then the 5K is going to wrap through the city and the campus. So we've had to go through both.
And it's called Run for Your Life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about how that came about, how that name came about, because you've gotten a little pushback. But personally, I don't think we should sugarcoat what happened to Laken Riley. And I think that this is a constructive way to remind people what happened to her. Because, even though they, arrested, I never say his name, but they arrested the man that did this. They've tried him. Now he's doing appeals. And folks, don't let that disarm you, because even a guy like him deserves to go through the appeal system. Even though we hate it, even though we wish he couldn't, we have to exercise the law equally. And even though he didn't do that to Laken Riley. And, but I can see that it makes them stop and think about it, because you think about how she died doing something she loved. She was an active runner, from what I understand. Almost every day she was running. And it was something she did to stay healthy.
Yep. So the name came about, I actually was sent a sermon from a church in Commerce called New Grace. And the title of the sermon is called Run for Your Life. And my cousin actually sent it to me. And it's about running towards the cross, towards Jesus, and keeping your eyes on Jesus. And so when I listened to this sermon, it really sat with me. And when I met with Lauren, I told her about this sermon, and I was like, this is kind of a bold title, but
Laken Riley, Laken's sister.
Yes,
correct.
so it's Lauren Phillips, but yes, it's Laken's
Phillips,
sister.
got it.
Mm-hmm. So I asked her, and she just was like, "Yeah, I love it. Let's do it." And later on, we ended up talking a bit more too. And it's like, at this point where we are in our country, you're also not just like, of course, with the situation with Laken having to actually run for her life. Also running for the cross, running towards Jesus, but we're also needing Christians or believers to run for office as if our life depends on it, because it does now. And so there was a lot of different meanings behind the title. And yeah, we have had some people who are like very taken back by the title, but we wanted it to be personal.
Yeah, I think I told you before you sat down, and then I talked about it on the air yesterday, that I didn't look at a lot of the stuff that was made available as far as evidence was concerned, but I did read very closely the kind of recapping of what her watch did. I mean, we all wear these watches, right? Sometimes I think they're not helpful because it's like it reminds you every day about everything. But these watches that measure everything, your heart rate, this, that, all the things that are happening. And the description of what happened on her watch and how it played out up to the second of her death was just, to me, the most compelling part of the whole trial, because you saw how hard she fought for so long, how long she fought. I mean, that's, you think about, the average boxing match is maybe, it can be as short as 6 minutes. It can go 15 minutes, but a 15-minute round in a boxing match is a really long, hard-fought round.
Yeah.
And very few people are healthy enough to put up that kind of fight.
Right.
And she fought for her life for 18 minutes. And she was trying to get away from that. And that just shows what an animal this man was. And he, in my view, he doesn't deserve to live. If I were in charge, I'd just take him out back and shoot him once the verdict came. But I'm not in charge, and so
Yeah.
it was because this family will never get closure until this man has finished his appeals and is in jail for good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting you say that too, because that was a big reason why I reached out to them, because at the beginning of this year, whenever Trump actually captured the Venezuelan president, that was what spurred all of this on. I was like, wow, I think that they're finally going to get some justice in their heart and in their soul. I just immediately thought of them because the guy that murdered Laken Riley, he was from Venezuela. And then it was like chaos after that with ICE. I don't know if you remember just how everything kind of started to rise up right after that.
Right.
And so I reached out to her because I was mostly just like, wow, I bet they're like, doing, sorry, him talking kind of threw me off. So yeah, I just wanted to reach out to her family after that and hear about, I wanted to celebrate with them the life of Laken Riley and not for people to remember her murder. And so that was a big reason why I reached out to her, and all of that happened. And now with all the things happening with ICE, especially in Athens on campus, I was there at the Tate Student Center on Friday, and they had a protest with one of those walkout protests. And we were actually looking at the video footage last night at YIF's meeting, and it is just, it's very interesting to see all of the socialism and the people that are against ICE, even knowing what happened to her. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're just little lemmings that just follow whatever. And I like your point about bringing people to Jesus, because I like, for people that talk to me a lot, they will criticize me or lift me up based on my conservative views, but that's not how I define myself. I define myself first as a Christian, and then a wife and a mother and a grandmother, and then I'm an American, and then I'm a Georgian, and then I'm a conservative, and then I'm a Republican. It's like 7 things down the list. The most important thing to me is my relationship with Jesus. And I have been blessed to be able to exercise that free speech and free exercise of religion in this country, and I don't want that to change. You know, I think that we are the greatest country in the world because we have a foundation of faith. And even in the worst countries in the world, like I covered the Iraq War in 2005 and 2007. And very interestingly, the Christian community, even under Saddam Hussein, was the community that actually produced things and helped with jobs and creating an economy and all this kind of stuff, because capitalism is the best way to grow a society. But capitalism has to have a moral foundation, or else it's just greed. Right. And that's why capitalism works so well with societies that are either Christian or have a Judeo-Christian background, or have a strong Christian community, because that, you know, people want to call that Christian nationalism, but that's not what it is. What it is having that moral foundation lets you grow things through capitalism, but also teaches you where the guardrails are about what you shouldn't go outside of when capitalism just turns to greed.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely feel that more than ever. I'm so grateful for my faith and that we have the Bible to go off of. When you know that it's true, and when you like get into the Word and start to learn everything scripturally, like what's going on, and you know that your government is ordained by God. And I've been studying in Romans 13 about all of this, because that has been something that I know is truth, because my background, you know, before I was saved a year and a half ago, I studied and I read a lot of different books in this life, and I have been down many different religions and paths. But when I heard Jesus and the Holy Spirit speak to me, it was the truest thing I've ever experienced in my whole life. And I've been in the deep jungles of, you know, Costa Rica and Colombia doing ayahuasca and trying to find myself in many ways. And, you know, I've been in like deep hypnosis and Joe Dispenza stuff, and nothing takes like the Holy Spirit.
It's very true. And we've got a lot of work to do here. So tell folks again how they can be involved in this.
Yes. So we are also looking for sponsors for... It's going to be Run for Your Life through Runners Fit. I can get you the link to this. We also have an Instagram page, Run for Your Life 2026. You can also find me on Instagram for more information. It's just Macy Elizabeth Rutledge, my full name. You can be involved. We still have a couple volunteer spots. We are hoping that I've almost invited every church in Athens. We really want this to just be a huge light. So if you want to just come out and walk and run with us from 8 to 10.
So it's February 21st.
Yes.
Yes, and the run starts at 8 o'clock at...
So it's going to start right outside of the Tate Student Center.
Tate Student Center, and then it's going to finish up from 10 to 12 with a memorial and activities in that square, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's so good. Macy Rutledge, thank you for being with me today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. We'll take a break.
Everyone wants to live a rich life, especially in retirement. Join Rich Life advisor Bo Henderson for the Rich Life Retirement Show, where the math shows you the path. Sundays at 12:35 on WDUN.
We're talking with Mike Robertson of Oakwood Tire and More. And Mike, I understand you guys have moved. Where can we find you?
3440 Mabry Road, which is right off of Mountain View.
Still offering the same services?
We won't be doing alignments, but we'll be doing tires. Tires, brakes, batteries, tune-ups, those kind of things that normal maintenance repair.
Sounds good. Give us the address one more time. Make sure we don't miss out.
You can find us at 3440 Mabry Road at oakwoodtire.com, or even the same phone number, 770-535-0943.
You've got meals to plan, children to ferry from practice to ball games, shopping and dusting, and good grief. Give yourself a break and take your laundry to Townview Coin Laundry. Take your comforters, quilts, blankets, and mattress covers. They'll wash, dry, and fold your laundry, or you can use their industrial-sized machines. Townview Coin Laundry saves wear and tear on your washer and dryer and on you, too. Get the stains out at Townview Coin Laundry at the corner of Bradford Street and College Avenue in downtown Gainesville, open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Hey there, it's Cody Lovin, owner of Crawlspace Medic. Is your crawl space giving you trouble? Maybe it's moisture, structural issues, or even foul odors? Don't worry, my team and I, we've seen it all. At Crawlspace Medic, we specialize in crawl space repairs, encapsulations, and basement waterproofing, ensuring your home's foundation stays solid and protected. We're all about delivering top-notch service you can trust with solutions that last. Give me a call at 706-410-2400 or visit crawlspacemedic.com for a free evaluation.
Do you ever find yourself wishing that things were better, but not believing that they will be? Have you lost hope? Hi, this is Mike Martin from Milton Martin Toyota. There's a big difference between wishful thinking and hope. Wishing that things were better is kind of like buying a lottery ticket. The likelihood that life will improve is slim to none. We keep wishing and nothing happens. God's Word tells us in Hebrews 6:19, we have this hope as an anchor for the soul, sure and strong. It enters behind the curtain that in the most holy place in heaven, hope backed by faith and prayer is a sure path to a better life. If you're tired of wishing that things would get better, visit a Bible-centered church and find out about the great hope that comes from knowing Jesus Christ. These thoughts brought to you by Milton Martin Toyota, Georgia's oldest Toyota dealership. Come visit us at MiltonMartinToyota.com or exit 17 off 985 Gainesville.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, an employee with Lumpkin County Sheriff's Office is arrested for a domestic incident and fired from his position Monday. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Very talented young lady who has, apparently, according to reports, a $14 million mansion built on stolen land.
Yeah. Can I have it?
Was she about to give it back?
No, I don't think so. This was a parade of inane, insipid, and ignorant comments from celebrities. It's fine. I do think everyone has a right to say what they want to say in this country, but Ricky Gervais did give the best advice to these people. In 2020 at the Golden Globes, he said, if you win tonight, don't make it into a political speech. You have no business lecturing the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world, and many of you have gone to school less than Greta Thunberg. That is what he said to them. And then he tweeted today, responding to the Grammys, saying, quote, they're still not listening. Clearly true. Maybe they should listen. By the way, John Ondrasik from Five for Fighting.
Yeah, good friend of mine.
He posted on X as well, noting that not a single person of all these social justice warriors and all their causes, not one of them mentioned the Iranian people who are being slaughtered in the streets by that regime. A notable silence and absence there.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and I haven't talked much about the Grammys, but my last audio clip that we've got, or one of the last ones we're going to use in the show, is a woman who praised her mother for adopting her and giving her life and a good family. So there were some high points there. But Billie Eilish is getting a lot of stuff. I guess you know who Billie Eilish is, right? Do you listen to her?
I've heard her songs. I'm just not a fan of her music,
Not a
just
fan.
personally.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen, I know the name.
Right,
You know
I'm
what
not saying
I mean?
she's always on
I
the
don't
Billboard list and whatnot.
Absolutely. But she does, it is ironic. And people hate it when you point this out, but they say things like, where you can't, nobody's illegal on stolen land. Well, that sounds so clever, okay? But since man walked out of the cave and started walking upright, most people think it was in Mesopotamia, but it's other places. Man has been expanding out from that and taking over land. That doesn't make it stolen land. And again, it goes to this idea that somehow before America was founded, that the Indian tribes were just, peace and love and rock and roll with each other, and that they weren't having these same kind of battles, stealing land from each other. Okay? That's just shows how stupid they are. And I'm saying stupid because they don't want to learn. So here's what happened at the Grammys, okay? They're talking about ICE. And they're talking about people that they're talking about ICE, and they're talking about people that are illegal or not illegal or any of that kind of stuff. At an event, where, get this, Logan, there was a wall built around the perimeter of that event. Everyone who came in had to show identification and their ticket, and then I guarantee you that she came in a limousine of some sort.
I would assume so.
But this is kind of what they're doing at these big events now, because we did this at the RNC about 18 months ago. There was literally a wall built around the perimeter of the event, where the place where we were having the RNC. And every day you had to go through that security checkpoint to be sure you were the person. And I'm good with that. But don't sit there at an award show and act like you guys aren't trying to keep people out. That you guys are not complaining about stuff that you are actually doing, or that you are complaining about stuff you were actually doing. I mean, literally, Logan, they had a wall built around the whole perimeter and a few of the streets. I mean, it went a few streets out from where the event was, a whole wall built around it with security and police all around it, and you had to show ID, your ticket, and all that to get in.
Yeah, like I said, just showing the exclusivity of the event, basically.
That's right. And it's hypocrisy to say there are no borders and anybody should be able to come in, because you don't let anybody in, to this. And let me just say to you, I saw this funny story about a woman who was priding herself because, a lot of conservatives like to say to liberals, well, if you think it's so great to be an illegal immigrant, why don't you open your home up? You've got an extra bedroom, open your home up. Well, there's a lady in Boston that did that. And she opened her home up to a Haitian, but then she put her to work. She put her to work as her cook, which again, in theory, is fine because you're giving her a job and giving her some experience, but that's not what they think should happen. They put her to work, and probably not at full wages. All right? So then you had these people at the Grammys that probably live, Billie Eilish lives in a $14 million home in California that has like 20 rooms in it. Well, you don't think there should be illegal people? Then you fill up all those rooms with illegal people, or people that I think are illegal immigrants, but you don't. Give them a place to live. Hey, that would be something to do. But never forget that these so-called celebrities never go anywhere that's not roped off or people are kept away from them. And they're telling you how to live your life. We'll be back.
It doesn't matter if you're a homeowner or running a business. Waste happens. Your go-to to make it go away? Waste Eliminator. They offer collection, disposal, recycling, and environmental services for business and home cleanout. Visit wasteeliminator.com. Click Order Dumpster, and before you know it, your dumpster is reporting for duty. Yep, it's that easy. Environmentally responsible and committed to customer service. It's Waste Eliminator. See them today at wasteeliminator.com.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Are you a fraud-paying American? 1 in 4 tax-paying Americans have been victim of identity fraud. With LifeLock, your identity, if it's stolen, they fix it guaranteed or your money back. And last year, billions in refunds were stolen. Could be from your salary, overtime, or second job. Gone. But this year, you don't need to stay a victim. Because this tax season, fraud-paying American is something no American should have to claim. Save up to 40% off your first year with the promo code BECK. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms do apply.
WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10 o'clock.
House Republicans are confident. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Today, the shutdown will end. It looks like the votes are there for the final package.
GOP Congresswoman Kat Cammack, that package would end the partial government shutdown now on day 4. And while it provides funding through September, it only gives 2 weeks' worth for Homeland Security, as Democrats keep demanding ICE reform, calling immigration enforcement in Minnesota out of control. The much-protested raids also led to 2 deadly shootings, and now Homeland Security will provide body cameras for all agents in Minneapolis. President Trump approved droves.
They generally tend to be good for law enforcement because people can't lie about what's happening. So it's, generally speaking, I think 80% good for law enforcement.
Next hour, the president will focus again on stopping drug trafficking, meeting with Colombia's leader, Gustavo Petro, at the White House, where Fox's Rich Edson reports it is
a major reversal in this relationship, given that the two leaders have spent the last year throwing insults at one another. The Trump administration had even sanctioned Petro. But now things started to change when President Trump spoke with Petro on the phone about a month ago.
Somehow after the Venezuelan raid, he became very nice. He changed his attitude very much.
That raid 1 month ago put Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro in jail in New York on terror and drug charges. The House has delayed a vote to hold former President Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton in contempt of Congress as they now agree to sit down for questions in the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking investigation. And speaking of that, after Congress mandated more files be released,
the Justice Department pulling thousands of documents and media related to disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein because they may inadvertently contain victim identifying information, including nude photos showing faces of potential victims, as well as names and email addresses.
Fox's Lillian Wu. The search continues in Arizona for the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, Nancy, who's 84, and believed kidnapped from her home Saturday night and perhaps harmed. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow. At a warehouse in Oakwood could soon become home to an ICE facility. WDUN's Kayla Putchins has the details.
A Bloomberg report outlines that the potential site on Atlanta Highway would house 1,500 beds. The current site is owned by Houston-based Alliance Industrial Company, which got approved for 2 warehouses in May of 2024. Oakwood City Manager B.R. White told Access WDUN that the biggest concern is sewer capacity. The current site is approved for just shy of 7,000 gallons per day. He estimates a detention site would need roughly 100,000 gallons. Alliance's intent and potential eminent domain of the property remains unclear.
An Elberton man was killed Monday morning in a single vehicle crash caused by icy conditions on Georgia 72. WDUN's Hamilton Keener reports.
The Georgia State Patrol said a Chevrolet Silverado driven by 76-year-old Donald B. Hawk was traveling east on Georgia 72 about to negotiate a curve. Hawk drove over an icy patch of the roadway, causing the vehicle to go off the road and into a ditch. Hawk was partially ejected and pronounced dead at the crash scene.
A groundbreaking was held last week for a new Marriott hotel in Brazelton. Details from WDUN's Logan Landers.
A groundbreaking ceremony was held Thursday for the Courtyard by Marriott Brazelton, a new hotel being developed by Solview Hospitality Group near the La Quinta Inn and Suites on Highway 53. According to Buy Local Brazelton, the project is a partnership with Marriott International and will include a modern Courtyard by Marriott hotel, along with more than 8,000 square feet of banquet and event space. The hotel is designed to serve business travelers and host community events, weddings, and regional meetings.
And Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport has been recognized as one of the top 10 airports for work travelers. More from GNN's Thomas Cage.
Analytics firm Nextiva has identified the top 100 best U.S. airports for working while traveling. Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport ranks number 4 on the list, offering 12 lounges, 4-minute suite locations, free Wi-Fi, charging stations, and 22 dining options. MetroAtlantaCEO.com reports the Nextiva report highlighted the importance of airports in supporting professionals who work while traveling and emphasizes the amenities that make productivity on the go easier. Seattle-Tacoma International Airport came in first.
More news online at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
Turning overcast, slight chance of a rain shower. Mid-50s this afternoon, a little milder. Scattered rain showers becoming likely tonight. Mid-40s for lows by early Wednesday. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Streno.
In LJ, 36 degrees, Sugar Hill, 41, and in Gainesville, 39. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
250 years of America, built one town, one voice, one unforgettable mile at a time. This year, as our nation celebrates its 250th birthday, Travel with Anita brings those stories to life with Quarter Miles Travel. We're sharing the places where history still breathes, communities that shape the country, and landscapes that remind us of who we are. But these aren't just stories to hear. There are places you can go, roads you can travel, experiences you can step into Quarter Miles Travel connects you to real destinations, real people, and real journeys waiting for you. Listen to us on air, online, and wherever you get your podcasts. Then visit travelwithanita.com for itineraries, travel ideas, and places where your next story begins. The adventure starts when you reach into your pocket.
Talking about the issues that affect you most. It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. Now from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, here's Martha Zoller on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
For example, Laura, we're talking about interior enforcement. It's important. I've done a lot in Florida for it. But why not go after the remittances? Why not reduce some of the carrots that people are coming illegally? Why not do employment verification? Why not defund sanctuary cities? These are things that our voters would support 80%, and yet you don't see that being done. So I think if they go bold, if they make the Democrats vote against these really important, popular conservative things, our voters will get a little bit more energized. I do think that would happen.
So that's Governor Ron DeSantis kind of making the case that with the border secure, it's time for us to update our immigration laws, and he's absolutely right about that. John Lauro is president of President Trump's co-lead counsel in D.C. and a national trial lawyer. We're going to talk with him a little bit about the legal side of what's happening in Minneapolis. Thank you so much, John, for being here.
Great to be here, and good morning.
Thank you. So, of course, it's a little out of the news now. It looks like things have changed direction in Minneapolis. Just give us an update of where they are today, especially from a legal perspective.
Well, thank goodness things have calmed down, but you look at the Democratic leadership around the country that has been saying the most outrageous things, really inciting violence against federal law enforcement in a way that we've never seen before. And candidly, when you look at Minneapolis, if local law enforcement had been there protecting federal partners engaging in lawful actions to arrest illegal aliens, none of these shootings would have taken place. It's really a failure of local leadership. And it looks like to some extent things are changing in Minneapolis, and hopefully we'll see a decrease in violence. But the responsibility is on local officials, first of all, to tamper down this insightful language, which is just horrific. And then second, provide support for the federal law enforcement. And third, recognize that we're all part of one country. You don't get to say that Minneapolis has seceded from the Union and somehow can dictate what its own laws are.
Well, I mean, look, I grew up in the South, all right? I went through desegregation in DeKalb County, and, I'm a lifelong Southerner. And to me, what Tim Walz did is no different than what George Wallace did. George Wallace said he wasn't going to desegregate the schools. Happened in Arkansas too. When you say you're not going to enforce federal law, then these are the kinds of things that can happen. And I'm curious, and maybe you don't know, but I'm curious, when did we make this transition? Because the whole idea of sanctuary cities is about 10 years old, something like that. And this idea that you can pick which federal laws you want to enforce and which ones you don't, we don't have the kind of problems in most places here in Georgia because we work with ICE. We work with the FBI. The sheriff's departments work with federal law enforcement so that you don't let these people back out on the street. Now, the president has said that, fine, we're going to pull out of these cities that don't want us, and we're just going to help the cities that want us. What do you think about that?
Well, you're so right, Martha. First of all, there's a pernicious trend in the far left Democratic Party right now, which essentially says we're permitted to decide which laws we want to obey. And they talk about the rule of law, and yet when it comes to illegal immigration, they're all for breaking the law. It's quite shocking, but we have a Constitution. And in the Constitution, there's a supremacy clause. It's a federal supremacy clause. And the states and the localities don't get to write their own laws. And let me add, we had an election in 2024 where immigration was literally on the ballot, and Americans voted to enforce the immigration laws. And that's part of living in a democracy, and that's part of living in a country, in a single country. And what the Democrats are doing now is really so harmful to the fabric of our country and so divisive. They need to change their rhetoric, and they need to tamper it down. I will say recently it seems like they've made a decision. I have to believe it's political, because they realize how much damage they're doing to their own party by engaging in this rhetoric.
Yeah, and the president did say on Air Force One that was when he was coming back from a dinner that he was probably, he didn't sound defeated at all. He sounded like, look, if they don't want our help, I'm not going to give their help. They need to ask, and they need to say please, and then we'll help the cities that want help.
Well, I think he's really tried to de-escalate the situation, and it's worked. And I think we have to give the president credit for that.
Right.
Because the worst thing that could happen, and the last thing we want collectively, is violence in the streets. And I think he's doing the right thing to calm things down. But ultimately, if we're following this closely, he's still enforcing the law. ICE is still making arrests, and they haven't gone away, and they're not going away. And right now it's in the good hands of Tom Homan, who's doing an excellent job.
Yeah, I mean, that, someday we'll know the backstory on all of that, because, Tom should have been there from the beginning. Okay, he's the guy that understands how to do this. He's been doing it for decades. He's been, and he's a bad, what. I mean, he's tough, and that's what you need, because you can't have the language that's being used and the encouragement to incite violence. I mean, it's like saying, peaceful protesting is when you gather in a group like it's happened many times around this country. It's not when you take over buildings, you do damage, you do any of that kind of stuff. That's not peaceful protest.
Well, the left is great at inciting violence and then blaming the other side for the consequences of violence. I mean, it's brilliant the way that they set the trap. And Tom Homan is not going to fall for it. He's not. He's a real professional law enforcement, honored by Obama. I mean, people don't remember that, but honored by a Democratic administration that was, I guess, to some extent enforcing the laws years ago, and how times have changed. But we can't fall into the trap of creating martyrs when the left really does want some violent destabilization, and thankfully that's not happening right now, thanks to the leadership of President Trump and Tom Homan.
So just to shift gears a little bit, if you don't have an opinion, that's fine, but it's kind of happening in your own backyard, where the Clintons have now decided they are going to come and testify about the Epstein files. They were, I thought it was interesting that, they were going to be held in contempt because they didn't show up, but I think they see that the tide has changed on that issue too, and that they better cooperate.
Once again, the Democrats like saying no person's above the law, except when it comes to Hillary and Bill and the rest of them, right? But what happened is the Democratic leadership had to tell them, listen, time is up, and you're not going to get away with thumbing your nose at a congressional subpoena. So they lost the support of the Democrats, and they have nowhere to go. And it's going to be quite uncomfortable, particularly for Bill Clinton, to have to answer these questions. And I'm going to get some popcorn and sit back and watch how it goes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, listen, John Lauro, thank you so much for being with us today.
Great to be with you. Have a wonderful day.
We'll take a break and we'll be back.
It's the news that affects you and the talk that keeps you listening.
We'll continue on with additional discussions today as we stay engaged.
North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Are you a veteran? Was your spouse a veteran? The VA might have some money for you. Hi, I'm Tabitha Clark, one of the paralegals at Kimbrough Law. I'm also a veteran. The VA aid and attendance benefit can pay more than $31,000 a year. That's every year tax-free. Most people have no idea that the VA pension aid and attendance benefit even exists. As a result, millions of veterans are missing out on extra money each month. I don't want you to be one of them. And it's not just that veterans don't know about this. There are misconceptions about VA benefits that could keep you from getting money you've earned, money you deserve. If you're over 65 and you were in the service during wartime period, or you're married to someone who served during wartime period, call Kimbrough Law. We'll see if you qualify. And if you do, we'll help you apply. For more information, go to KimbroughLaw.net. That's KimbroughLaw.net.
Matt Hayes here from Hayes Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Baldwin with some serious savings on the great lineup of vehicles here at Hayes. And just to name a few, $6,500 off 26 Chrysler Pacificas, $9,000 off 25 Dodge Durangos, and $11,000 off 25 Jeep Wranglers. And trucks, well, we got the trucks. $10,000 off MSRP on 26 Ram 1500 Bighorns, and $13,000 off MSRP on 25 model Ram 2500 HD trucks. Refresh your driveway with one of these new deals from Hayes of Baldwin. And hey, ask about our free lifetime powertrain warranty.
Oh, hello. It's me, the calculator that lives inside of TaxSlayer. And let me tell you, I love numbers. 1040s, 1099s, W-2s, all of them. With TaxSlayer, anyone can file a federal return for just $22.99. You'll get 100% accuracy and your biggest possible refund guaranteed. Now those are great numbers. Need help along the way? We've got U.S.-based real human support. File by February 8th for just $22.99 and get the refund you deserve. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. After my husband died, the last thing I wanted to think about was money. Ethos made it affordable to get life insurance. Signing up was fast and 100% online. I knew that I could pay our mortgage and have food in the fridge. I could focus on my kids. No one ever tells you how much you're going to depend on that policy. I am so grateful we had coverage.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, Truett McConnell University has named Dr. Larry Lyon their 9th president in the White County Schools history. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Bad Bunny made a pretty clear anti-ICE statement at the Grammys last night. What are you expecting in terms of political statement, whether that's from Bad Bunny or Green Day or any of the other performers?
On your first question, security is obviously one of the things we focus on the most. It's a Tier 1 level event that involves unique assets at the federal level, the state level, and the local level, all working together. I see no change in that. In the preparations for the Super Bowl, we've not seen that. We're working with all three of those levels and doing everything we can to make sure it's a safe environment. And the federal government is a big part of that, including this administration and every other administration before that. I think Tier 1 is probably been the category we've had since at least the turn of the century, if not before that. So I just anticipate we'll continue to do the work to make it the safest event. On your second question, I think everybody Bad Bunny and I think that was demonstrated last night, one of the great artists in the world. And that's one of the reasons we chose him. But the other reason is he understood the platform he was on, and that this platform is used to unite people and to be able to bring people together with their creativity, with their talents, and to be able to use this moment to do that. And I think artists in the past have done that. I think Bad Bunny understands that, and I think he'll have a great performance.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. It's got to be hard for a guy like Roger Goodell to have to use Bad Bunny as the name of someone in a sentence that's supposed to be serious. I think it's hysterical. But I just think there were a couple things that popped out from that statement. First of all, we are far enough into the 2000s that now people are starting to talk about things like since the turn of the century. I think that is just, I think that's just hysterical. It makes me feel really old because, people are starting to revert. I've heard that several times this year. I guess you have to get through the first 25 years of a century before you can say since the turn of the century.
Oh, Martha, people are saying now, because I was born in 97, okay? They're saying I was born in the late 1900s.
Born in the late 1900s.
My goodness.
I know. There was an exhibit at a museum of clothing from the last century, and they were talking about the 1990s. So we're officially far enough into the 2000s that we shouldn't be weird saying it. Secondly, just every time he said Bad Bunny, Logan, it was just like, Robert Goodell's kind of a pen pinned up, conservative looking guy. He's like talking about, well, Bad Bunny is a great artist.
I can guarantee you that Roger Goodell has probably never listened to any of his songs, and I'm sure he had someone go and pick him out. I can only, and also, I don't know if you heard, he didn't answer the second part of that question about Green Day. He did not mention them at all.
No, he did not. And what's interesting, too, is the bottom line, I'm sure it's in their contract. I'm sure it's all that, but it's a live event, and anything can happen.
They have microphones.
They can decide that they're going to say what they're going to say. Because I think Green Day has actually been a part of either the Super Bowl or some big event like that. And they did say something about George Bush at the time. I remember it because I was really angry about it, and they had these songs about him during that period of time. I hope, I don't know if this halftime show is going to be a uniter. Okay, I don't know. I think what you do with a uniter is you get some iconic. He's not iconic yet. He's good. He's gotten a lot of awards. I don't really understand his music, but obviously he's on his way. That's what I would say, is he's on his way. He's not icon status. He's not, Paul McCartney. He's not Lionel Richie. He's not, the kind of people that you might say, I mean, obviously Whitney Houston is dead, but her singing of the national anthem, I think it was at the Super Bowl in the late 90s, the last century, was one of the best renditions ever. So I thought the Lady Gaga show, which I think, wasn't that the year we got beaten? Atlanta?
I believe that was the one. I think they were the halftime.
She was halftime. She was fantastic.
I remember she had a really weird theme to it, whatever it was.
Yeah,
but
and she
I know
came
the
in
music
like
itself
on
was good.
like it wasn't a parachute, but it was like on a line.
It's like a zip line or something. I remember that.
Thing. And I know she's a big lib because I've heard her make statements, okay, or people said that she won't perform at the Kennedy Center, which is closed, by the way, for renovations for the next 2 years. But she did participate in the pregame Super Bowl show last year after the terrorist attack, or the Sugar Bowl show last year after the terrorist attack. Maybe it was, because wasn't the Super Bowl in New Orleans too? Yeah, they had the Sugar Bowl, and then they had the Super Bowl. So she was in the pregame for the Super Bowl, and she was playing out on Bourbon Street because she wasn't the halftime show. I just think they need to do a little bit mainstream. And you know what? They should do a country music halftime show sometime, because country music is big right now, and it's big even with young people. They say they want to get young people. Well,
that's what the Turning Point show, that's what they're kind of rolling with.
Yes, they're going to do a country music show.
I know Kid Rock is the headliner, and
that's what I'll be watching.
I think Brantley Gilbert, perhaps, and some other, I think maybe 2 other acts that I'm not fully aware of. But yeah, I think their kind of genre they're going to go for, they're the kind of counter halftime show, I guess what we're going with, is a bunch of country artists.
Well, and then the final thing I would say is he said, we chose him, Bad Bunny. No, they have a contract with Jay-Z. And Jay-Z might come to them with, you can pick this guy or that guy, but it's kind of like a child. If you don't want your child to get something they don't want, you think you're giving them a choice, but you give him 2 choices that you agree with. Well, the contract is with Jay-Z and his company, and so I'm sure they got a couple of choices that Jay-Z would agree with.
Oh, I'm sure. Obviously since Jay-Z took over the halftime show, it's been a couple of years now. I don't know exactly how many.
Yeah, I think it's been about 5.
But there has been definitely a more either hip-hop and or pop approach to the halftime shows, just because, it's Jay-Z. That's his realm, that's his business. So he's going to, of course, push for artists. We saw last year with Kendrick Lamar. We see this year with Bad Bunny, whether it be, hip-hop or international music with him. And that's just what, they feel like is the best choice.
And I'm not saying hip-hop's not real music, because I think that it is. But you can look at certain artists that do cross over. And I was watching a special about Georgia legends on GPB, and it was about Chuck Lavelle, who has been a piano player, a keyboardist for people like the Allman Brothers, and still with the Rolling Stones. He still tours with the Rolling Stones. He plays with a jazz group. He does all kinds of music. You're too young to remember the Traveling Wilburys, but the Traveling Wilburys was Roy Orbison, George Harrison. I want to say maybe Bob Dylan, but it was people that were big in their own right, but they were trying different kinds of music.
Right.
I think that, in my view, real artists are people that not only do the genre that they're known for, but they have respect and will do other types of music too, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I know that that's not what everybody thinks, and they will get mad about music. Have you seen that?
I'm about to say, people are very testy about, I would say, defending whatever music they have, whatever genre it may be. They can really kind of get in their feelings about whatever genre
Yeah, if you don't like them, you don't understand.
Oh, yeah.
So is Bad Bunny a rapper? Is that what he is?
Yeah, he is a Latin rapper, basically, yes.
A Latin rapper. Okay. So we got all different kinds of rapping, which will be good. But it'll be interesting to see. I don't know if I'll watch that one, if I'll watch the TPUSA one. I think that, I think it should bring people together. And I think they're starting to trickle out the ads this week. I've seen a couple of them.
I try to avoid them, though, honestly.
I know, because you want to watch them on the day, don't you?
I want to see them as they're supposed to be intended, as they're coming out during the Super Bowl. But I've seen, like I said, not the full ads, but I've seen teasers about the commercials.
Now, I think it starts at like 6 o'clock or 6:30.
Yeah, it starts at 6:30.
So you should be able to watch most of it.
I'll be able to watch.
The game's pretty good.
I'm thankful that they're starting it as early as they are, and they're going to have pregame coverage at like noon.
Oh, right.
I mean, it's going to be going it's an all-day event now.
Yeah.
It's not just, all right, let's watch the game. No, it starts at lunchtime and goes all the way until midnight.
Well, we'll have it if our internet doesn't go out.
I'm about to say, we'll have it here on station.
Yeah, you'll have it. Oh, that's good.
I'm about to say, we are going to have it here on WDUN this weekend.
Feed. That'll be great. The big game, right? We can't call it the Super Bowl,
I'm about to say,
right?
it's the big game.
Yeah, it's the big game. Anyway, you can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. My friend Michael Levine went to see Melania on Friday night. I was staying in for the storm, so I did not see it. I'll probably see it this week because it did do a pretty good job for a documentary. It was the biggest opening for a documentary in 10 years. It didn't make back its money yet, which it's probably not going to until it goes to streaming. And then people will buy it and watch it. But let me just point this out. And I know the people here that are listening aren't the ones that are the problem here. But just make an effort to talk to people you don't agree with. And you don't have to start out right with the issues you think you don't agree with. You just talk about life, talk about the things you're interested in, the coffee you drink, whatever it is. And then when something comes up, be willing to listen and then tell them what you think. One of my biggest flaws that I'm really working on is that I tend to think I know where people are going, and then I'll go ahead and start defending myself. I'm trying to stop that. We'll keep working on it. We'll be back.
Did you know that one of Georgia's 9 regional food banks is located right here in Hall County? The Georgia Mountain Food Bank collects and warehouses donated food and distributes it to more than 65 feeding partners and meal serve sites across our 5-county service area of Hall, Dawson, Lumpkin, Union, and Forsyth counties. Learn more about our mission and how you can make sure that people in our community have the food they need to thrive. Visit gmfb.org.
Hear that? That's Mike. He took ZQL Pure Z's, so now he's sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. ZQL Pure Z's are fast-acting melatonin gummies with a complementary botanical blend to help Mike get the sleep he needs to wake up refreshed and ready to conquer Monday.
Let's do this Monday.
ZQL Pure Z's, just for sleep. Really great sleep. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel. Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Fern may have turned off the power, but she didn't stop the WDUN news team.
Many roads throughout the region still remain treacherous and into the daytime hours due to the cold temps.
Across the region in total, we're looking at a little over 31,000 outages.
We're talking wind chills anywhere from 0 to 15.
Always here, always local. We're North Georgia's News Talk. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville.
Always here, always local.
It's 10:30.
Fox News, I'm CJ Papa. President Trump opens the White House to Colombian President Gustavo Petro, who's been critical of the action to take out Nicolas Maduro from leadership in Venezuela.
A big topic also on the table, oil. The Colombian president last year said the pressure campaign was all about seizing oil in Venezuela. Since the arrest, though, Venezuela is seeing oil is selling on the global market and for full price. More money is now flowing back into Venezuela.
Fox Business's Edward Lawrence of the White House, a vote in the House shortly that could end the partial government shutdown.
We're hearing the president loud and clear that we need to not be looking down the barrel of another shutdown. We need to get these bills through.
That's Montana Congressman Troy Downing earlier on Fox Business. And skier Lindsey Vonn is confident she can compete at the Olympics despite the left knee injury she sustained last Friday. The downhill takes place on Sunday. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow, and a warehouse in Oakwood could soon be home to an ICE facility. WDUN's Caleb Hutchins has the details.
A Bloomberg report outlines that the potential site on Atlanta Highway would house 1,500 beds. The current site is owned by Houston-based Alliance Industrial Company, which got approved for 2 warehouses in May of 2024. Oakwood City Manager B.R. White told Access WDUN that the biggest concern is sewer capacity. The current site is approved for just shy of 7,000 gallons per day. He estimates a detention site would need roughly 100,000 gallons per day. Alliance's intent and potential eminent domain of the property remains unclear.
2 teens arrested after authorities say they stole a go-kart from a Hall County racetrack last week. Derek Booth with the Hall County Sheriff's Office says investigators received a tip that the Capian and Octane Lanier Raceway on Winder Highway near Chestnut Mountain had been burglarized last Thursday. The suspect in the case, identified as 18-year-old Silas Jamal Danielson of Jefferson.
While they met with him, they interviewed him and recovered a go-kart that was stolen during the burglary.
During the investigation, 19-year-old Peyton Thomas Shane Townley of Flowery Branch also was identified as a suspect, both arrested on burglary charges last week. And White County's Truett McConnell University has named its 9th president in school history this week, as Dr. Larry Leon will take over April 1st of this year. More details at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
Turning overcast, slight chance of a rain shower. Mid-50s this afternoon. Scattered rain showers becoming likely tonight. Will be in the mid-40s for lows. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Tiger, 41 degrees. Tequila, 45, and in Gainesville, 43. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9, WDUN.
You wouldn't want someone you couldn't trust working on your family's HVAC and plumbing, so why would you call anyone but Gainesville Mechanical? They're your local, most trusted and award-winning HVAC and plumbing company in North Georgia. From maintenance appointments and clogged drains to plumbing emergencies and new system installations, their team is ready to serve you. And with their customer assurance maintenance plan, you can receive discounts, priority scheduling, and 24/7 no overtime rates. Gainesville Mechanical and Bryant, doing whatever it takes since 1989.
We're talking with Mike Robertson of Oakwood Tire and More. And Mike, I understand you guys have moved. Where can we find you?
3440 Mabry Road, which is right off of Mountain View.
Still offering the same services?
We won't be doing alignments, but we'll be doing tires. Tires, brakes, batteries, tune-ups, those kind of things that normal maintenance repair.
Sounds good. Give us the address one more time. Make sure we don't miss out.
You can find us at 3440 Mabry Road at oakwoodtire.com, or even the same phone number, 770-535-0943.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Soared past expectations, bringing in more than $7 million at the box office in its opening weekend. Now, that is the most of any non-concert documentary in a decade. Now, legacy film reviewers were so certain that it wouldn't do well, they would be wrong. Emily, my mom went to this weekend in Florida. She said not only was the theater packed, it was, standing room only if you could try to sneak in the back of the theater. People were cheering through it. They were excited. It was interactive. People interplaying with the film. She said it was just electric.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and joining me right now, is Michael Levine, who did see Melania on Friday, and it was a good opening for a documentary, and especially since large swaths of the Northeast were still had ice and snow. But Michael, what did you think?
Well, it is an outstanding documentary and film for people who are interested and fascinated in Melania Trump. In the exact same way that anyone that would go to see a Taylor Swift concert movie would likely be someone interested in Taylor Swift, so too anyone that would go to see Melania, and it's outstanding for that. Is it a movie that is meant to be critical in any way? Not at all. It's not intended to do that. In the same way, again, if you went to see a Taylor Swift concert movie, would you expect an expose on Taylor Swift? Of course not. You're going to see a concert. So the critics are so blinded, and I do mean blinded, with a rage, a kind of visceral, palpable rage, that they cannot see beyond that rage.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because she seems to be a lovely woman. She seems to be pretty tough, and she inserts herself where she feels it's appropriate, and she's actually gotten some things done this year or last year related to protecting women, which is kind of what First Lady should do, right?
Well, yes, but I think the richer conversation is what we were speaking about, this negative sensory override, which is a psychological term. When people become so blinded by a burning maniacal rage, which is what many on the left have become, not all but many, it is so blinding. It is it's as if they're driving drunk, as it were. So that becomes the more interesting conversation. She is, as far as the movie itself, she is jaw-droppingly beautiful. She's extraordinarily beautiful physically. She has an interesting story, a woman who was immigrated to America legally, and you get to see a lot of interesting stuff behind the scenes, right? Not only if you're interested in Melania Trump, but if you're interested in the presidency, how it all works, what it looks like behind the scenes. It's like a kind of a backstage pass, if you will. So it is very interesting, but that is not enough to break through the burning maniacal rage of those who just, they're blinded.
Yeah, there's a state house seat that's come up in Athens, Georgia, which Athens is kind of a big, a blue dot in a red sea.
Yep.
But the seat's been held by a Republican. It's drawn in a way that it will be held by a Republican. But the Democrat that's running has this video that's gone viral where she said that we need to rebuild the chaos when Democrats take control, which I don't know what that means, rebuild the chaos. That seems like you want more chaos instead of less. And then she says that the punishment for people who voted for Trump should be, listen to this, no internet and you can't go on social media. I think that's kind of a gift, actually. But it's funny because she believes that the world is all about the internet and social media. And yes, there's a part of that, but there's a whole part of this country that doesn't get their news from social media.
Yeah, listen, some of the statements you read don't surprise me. Is there a seeming flirtation among many on the left, many Democrats, and not even on the left, just Democrats? Is there a flirtation with chaos? And the answer is, it would appear so. It sure would appear so. If Minnesota is any example, dear friend, or Portland, Los Angeles, it would appear so. And then this idea that this woman, whoever she is running for office, thinks that people who voted in an opposite way think that they should be penalized. This is again stuff that I think 20 years from now will be reviewed in abnormal psychology classes as textbook examples of some real problem. Mental, they're unwell. There is a portion of this country that have become so blinded by what I guess is affectionately called TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome. These are unwell people. I don't say that pejoratively. I'm just saying it descriptively. They have lost their grip,
and they're bigger than they think they are. That's and that's where the social media part comes in. You tend to think that things are bigger. That's why I try to, look, I have to, with my work, I have to know what's going on in social media in certain areas. But I try to always make time to read some books every week, to look at some different news sources every week.
To balance.
Out what people are saying. On a little lighter.
I think that's wise. I think that's wise counsel for you. It's wise counsel for your audience. Balance.
Absolutely.
You can't, right.
So on a little lighter note, I saw the first trailer for this miniseries that Hulu is doing on. It's called Love Story JFK Jr. and it's a mini series about JFK Jr. and Carolyn Bessette, and it's going to be coming out on Hulu. And the actors that they got to play them really were good picks. They look a lot like them. But I thought it was interesting because I still think people have a real desire to see these stories, especially about the Kennedys and the Camelot era of the Kennedys. And then, but again, understanding that in today's world, you don't have to have as big of an audience to be successful as you used to.
Oh, that is absolutely true. There are successful entertainment products that have very niche audiences, smaller, you go back 30 years ago and a network show would need to have 20, 10, 15 million viewers. Today, CNN primetime, maybe 600,000 viewers, perhaps.
Right.
It's unthinkable.
Well, and Fox is the biggest in a lot of ways in certain time slots, and I think there's 6 or 7 million. So it's not like when the NBC nightly news was 49 million people a night.
No.
No. Now.
But it is also fair to say what you just said, and I think your numbers are a bit extreme or exaggerated. CNN, on average, on a primetime night, does about 600,000 viewers, 600,000. Fox News, on an average primetime night, does about 3.5 million.
Okay.
So that means, in English, that Fox News has an audience size about 5 times of what CNN has. That's not even to describe MSNBC or MS Now, whatever it's being called today. So the audience for Fox is much larger. Newsmax is even larger. So there we are. That's the verdict of the American public.
Well, it's interesting too, though, with more and more people cutting the cord. Fox you still can't get on these free channels that are offered to you.
Right.
So you have to have either a connection
or
you have
pay.
To subscribe to. You
got to
pay. Newsmax is available on these
correct.
Live groups of channels.
That is correct.
There's also like Bloomberg News. You have to curate your news a little bit when you cut the cord. And so basically I have cut the cord, and so I can watch it here at work, or I just watch the clips that they put up every day and kind of get a view about it. But it's fine though, because I don't know if 24-hour news helped us with it just on the background being the noise maker of our life for the last 25 years.
I think on balance, you're making an extremely interesting and important point. on balance, has 24-hour news been a societal benefit or liability? I would say, well, on balance, probably a liability. Probably on balance. It provides, I guess, what would be called a proctologist's view of the world. A proctologist's view is that it is a view. It is accurate, but it is only so limited, right? It is only so narrow to chaos, to anger, and the way you get ratings in 24-hour news cycles is through conflict,
Absolutely.
through rage.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's a beast that's got to be fed. And I, in my first book I wrote, in Indivisible United Values for a Divided America, is I called it 24 one-hour news cycles because they have to feed it. I mean, obviously, a woman like me would have never been used on network news. So it was a benefit for people like me because they needed to fill that time. And you'd start out doing 2 a.m. hits. And then if you were good, you started doing daytime hits. And I don't do as much as I used to do, but that's my choice. I don't want to travel as much. And I do a few things. I pick and choose much more now what I do. But it's an interesting time, and hopefully, and I like that you said 20 years from now, how are we going to look at this? Because it's going to be a big day. Hey, thank you, Michael, for being with us today.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you. We'll take a break.
What you see is what you get. I call it like I see it. What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong, ladies and gentlemen. We have always believed that on this radio program.
It's Todd Starnes, weekdays at noon on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
When we're busy outside working this spring, no one wants their mower to stop halfway through cutting a lawn or their trimmer to cut off right at the end of the day. That's why Howard Brothers trusts Kawasaki Engine Parts. Their quality parts make all the difference. Whether you're gearing up for busy season or tuning your machines for peak performance, Kawasaki parts keep your engines running stronger, longer. Find your Kawasaki parts at Howard Brothers today.
This is Grant Nichols, and at Loretta's Country Kitchen, we know life can really pile up. There's work, getting the kids to practice, shopping. With all that, the week can really wear you out. The last thing you want to do is spend Saturday in the kitchen. Not to worry, we have you covered with Saturday lunch at Loretta's. That's right, not only are we open for breakfast on Saturdays, we're also serving up lunch from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. Give your kitchen and your family a break with Saturday lunch at Loretta's Country Kitchen, Mundy Mow Road, Oakwood, where it's all good.
When you have a problem with your roof, you want someone who can respond quickly, but also who knows roofing. That's what you get at Georgia Select Roofing. This is Chris Earls, and we do roofing right. Estimates are free, we can help you navigate your insurance claim, and we also offer financing. Check out our Google reviews, and you'll see that Georgia Select Roofing offers the best service around. See us today at georgiaselectroofing.com or call us at 678-316-6899. Family owned and operated, Georgia Select Roofing has you covered.
Oh, hello, it's me, the calculator that lives inside of TaxSlayer. And let me tell you, I love numbers. 1040s, 1099s, W-2s, all of them. With TaxSlayer, anyone can file a federal return for just $22.99. You'll get 100% accuracy and your biggest possible refund guaranteed. Now those are great numbers. Need help along the way? We've got US-based real human support. File by February 8th for just $22.99 and get the refund you deserve. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. After my husband died, the last thing I wanted to think about was money. Ethos made it affordable to get life insurance. Signing up was fast and 100% online. I knew that I could pay our mortgage and have food in the fridge. I could focus on my kids. No one ever tells you how much you're going to depend on that policy. I am so grateful we had coverage.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Harding Chevrolet Newsroom, plant walkouts for 2 Hall County schools Tuesday have been postponed by the walk's organizers while school officials remind them about policies. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Okay, I completely blanked on everything before. I need to take a second to thank my mother. Mom, you didn't have to, my mother adopted me. You didn't have to give up your life for me. You could have done whatever you wanted in your 20s, but instead you chose to take care of me and to put me in all the programs and all the things that would feed who I am today. So Mommy, I owe you everything. I love you. I love you so much. Thank you to the same people that I thanked before, but ultimately I think everyone up here, it really means a lot to us because we're family.
So that was an artist that got a Grammy and thanked her mom. That's what they used to do, Logan. They used to just thank their mom, thank their wife, thank their husband.
Yeah, thank the Academy, of course, too.
Thank the Academy, whatever. And now it's like you got to make a political statement. And they showed a picture, which I don't particularly agree with showing a picture of where someone lives, but they showed a picture of where Billie Eilish lives. Guess what? She's got a fence around her property.
I'm sure she's got a gorgeous house. My goodness.
Gorgeous house. I'm sure there's a gate. I'm sure there's either a person that answers your call when you push the button, or you've got to answer to someone before anyone gets let in.
Oh, of course, yeah. You can't just walk up to the house and knock on the door. That's not going to happen.
It's on stolen land, Logan. So
to steal her phrase.
Yeah, I know. To steal her phrase. It's it's so crazy, isn't it?
It is.
I just wish they, Laura Ingraham years ago wrote a book called Shut Up and Sing, and it's just so true. I just don't want to know. Jeff Foxworthy, everybody kind of assumed he was sort of a right-leaning guy, but he never talked about it. And he did he got an interview, someone was interviewing him, and he says, why would I alienate half of my audience right off the bat? Half the people that might come to my shows, why would I do that? And honestly, his whole thing now is working with homeless people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's his big thing that he does, and that's not political. It shouldn't be.
No, and I mean, Jeff. We've heard Jeff hundreds of times.
Yes.
He just performed, I think, this past summer at the hall right up the road here.
Yep.
And still does a fantastic job with hosting gigs. Whether it's I don't know if he still does the Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grade? I'm not sure if he's still doing that.
If it's still around, they do.
Yeah.
I think it's more of like a streamed show.
Okay, yeah.
And it's in reruns and all that kind of stuff.
I enjoyed him in that, and I enjoy his comedy.
Married and have a family by now.
Probably so.
But he's a great guy, and he's very approachable. And I loved that about him. When he did the My Sister's Place Gala last year, he parked in the parking lot with everybody else. He didn't ask for anything special. And when it came time to go, he walked with the crowds out to the parking lot and waited in line to get out, just like everybody else did. I just kind of loved that about him.
Yeah, just living the kind of a simple life like that. Like he's not, holier than thou or above the, the people who go to pay and see him.
So he did have a very nice car, though. I will admit that, and I do not begrudge him that.
That's it. You got to show off somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, he wears probably the jeans he's been wearing for 30 years.
Exactly,
but
Levi's.
Anyway, so today, my good friend Harry Enton, and I say he's my good friend because I love what he does at CNN, is, they're talking a lot about voter ID. And first of all, guess what? It's not controversial. 86% of the people in America think you should have to show ID to vote. And the rest of them vote Democrat. No, I'm just kidding. But they're the only ones, 14%. How do you get 86% of people to agree with anything? And then they did some other polling where they talked about, that you kind of expect that you have to show an ID, because most of us now, I mean, I don't go anywhere without an ID, and to say that black people can't get IDs is really the typical liberal pejorative way that they deal with minorities. That is if they do not have the same options and don't have the same smarts as regular people do. And that is and I'm only saying the things they would say because I think we're all the same. We all bleed the same. We're all the same inside. God doesn't look at us any differently. I acknowledge that maybe there's benefits I got for being white, but I grew up in kind of a middle class neighborhood, and And my parents didn't go to college. They just worked really hard. Maybe there were things that I got that, maybe that I got benefits for being white, but nobody ever said to me, hey, you're white, come on over here. That never happened. And I think that what we need to do is be together more. I remember when our school desegregated that there were just a few black kids and they kind of sat to themselves. And, my parents always taught me, find the person that's sitting by themselves or sitting at a table with seats open and go and sit at that table. They just always, I don't know why they told me that. They just said that nobody wants to be alone. And do you know, some of the best friends I ever had were from those kinds of encounters. Like people that I became, there was a girl named Carolyn Cooper who always sat by herself because this girl was smart. She was so smart that she could hardly, really communicate. That was her problem, honestly. She was just so smart she couldn't talk to the average 10-year-old. Okay? And she certainly was smarter than I was, but she was always by herself. And so I sat with her and we remained friends throughout elementary school and high school and lost touch kind of through college. But then I bumped into her at Rich's when I was working at downtown Rich's, and we caught up and we haven't seen much of each other, but I consider her a friend. I consider her somebody that I know, and I wouldn't have had that interaction if I hadn't said, hey, that kid's sitting by themselves. I'm going to go sit with them. Now, Alan in Rabun Gap sent me a funny text where he said, you are my kind of person, Martha. I said, take him out back and shoot him. My kind of lady. That's great. Y'all have a wonderful day. And Alan, I'm going to be up in Rabun County this Saturday at our hearing at 10 o'clock at Rabun County High School. It's for the State Board of Education. I'm having my district hearing on Saturday at 10 o'clock in Rabun County. I want to have some people show up. We've sent it out to all the superintendents and all the things that we do. But we've got a lot of things that are happening, and we have to do this once a year. And the setup is very structured, and I try to do a different county every year. So it'll be 10 o'clock, Rabun County High School on Saturday. I'll see you there. We'll be back.